Place-based education, or PBE, boosts engagement, deepens learning, and promotes a sense of responsibility towards participants' surrounding environment. PBE programs geared towards science outreach professionals go a step further, providing participants pertinent knowledge and firsthand experiences to share with their audiences and communities. These programs also provide outreach professionals opportunities to hone their communication skills and network. As a result, outreach professionals can inspire a sense of awe and responsibility in others. If you caught the May episode of Beyond the Breakthrough, you met Sarah Treadwell and Kat Troche, two science outreach professionals and alumni of the Astronomy and Chile Educator Ambassadors Program, or ACEAP. In this bonus episode of Beyond the Breakthrough, we're diving deeper into the purpose of AUI's place-based learning programs like ACEAP, and hearing about Sarah and Kat's experiences during their expeditions. Welcome to the first bonus episode of the podcast, which we're calling this and future ones like it Beyond the Episode. Bonus episodes will dive deeper into specific facilities, technologies, and programs mentioned in our full-length episodes. As always, I'm your host, Kelsey Underwood. Let's get started. ACEAP brings amateur astronomers, planetarium personnel, and K-16 astronomy educators to U.S. astronomy facilities in Chile. While at these facilities, the ambassadors receive extensive training about the instruments, science, data products, and STEM communication. Upon returning home, the ambassadors share their experiences and observatory resources with schools and community groups. ACEAP is a collaboration between AUI and the Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy, also known as AURA. ACEAP is currently one of two immersive learning programs run by AUI and partners. The second program is Mission Patagonia. The Mission Patagonia program brings participants to one of the most pristine ecosystems on Earth, Melimoyu Elemental Reserve in northern Patagonia, Chile. The reserve was founded and is administered by Philanthropia Cortez Solari, a philanthropic nonprofit foundation led by Francisca Cortez Solari, the first Latin American woman part of the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Patrons of Nature program. The reserve's laboratory is surrounded by volcanoes, ice, fjords, and diverse animal and plant species. While on expedition, participants investigate innovative approaches to effective conservation and climate change mitigation and share their experience with networks back home. Sarah participated in the Mission Patagonia program as well. Now, even if you haven't listened to Kat and Sarah's full-length interview, you're all caught up on the information relevant to this bonus episode. In their full-length episode, Sarah and Kat mentioned moments of their ACEAP trip, but they shared so many other great details that didn't make the final edit. Nonetheless, they really speak to how special these programs are and their importance to science outreach. So without further ado, let's welcome back Sarah and Kat to hear more about these two unique learning programs.
I'm familiar with Northern Hemisphere sky. So I get down there and there are constellations and, star groupings that I've never seen before in person. I've only ever seen them in images.
A sidewalk astronomer in New York City, Kat's primary mission on the ACEAP expedition was to observe and photograph the unparalleled dark skies of northern Chile. She was able to do so at the U.S. National Science Foundation's Cerro Tololo Inter-American Observatory.
And so feeling lost as I'm looking up at the night sky was an extremely cool feeling. And then, of course, seeing the galactic core and, seeing the Magellanic clouds. And that's something that I will never forget, ever.
Due to the Earth's spherical shape, different stars appear in the northern and southern hemispheres, which means different constellations. ACEAP participants not only learn scientific facts when observing these star groupings, but they also learn some of their cultural significance. Sarah, who currently leads portable planetarium shows as Space Case Sarah, explains the power of place-based learning with one of her stargazing memories.
When you're told in these light polluted areas that you can see the Milky Way and that these, Aboriginal cultures and, earlier cultures would come up with stories from the dark patches in the Milky Way. Your brain cannot comprehend that. You're like, I don't know what that means because you can't even see the Milky Way in most of the areas that I've ever lived. And then when we were out there and I saw it, and like you can see the baby llama and the mama llama, and you're like, oh, I get it
It
now.
clicks, yeah.
I get it. Yeah. Yeah. You're like, oh, I can totally understand why that's where your eye was drawn to. And you created a pattern and made up a story because it stands out so dramatically.
The Incas, unlike Western cultures, identified constellations not just from bright stars, but also from the dark patches and dust clouds in the Milky Way. The constellation that Sarah mentioned is referred to as Yakana, which depicts a mother llama and her nursing baby. The region's high altitude, dry climate, and minimal light pollution make viewing these constellations and other space objects possible. To protect their dark skies, Chile has lighting standards, including regulations on light intensity, color, and the timing of light usage.
The first feeling that I actually had, and it was surprising even to me, was I was just so angry at, like, how light polluted New York City is, and just in general, like, where there's just little to no regard for environmental, protections in terms of the night sky, and how we don't do light shielding, we don't use warm light, and not only is it, it's impacting, of course, it's impacting the birds, it impacts our circadian rhythm. There are papers upon papers about this, but it robs us of the night sky, and it robs us of those moments of awe and, inspiration that our ancestors, had thousands of years ago when they were making up stories about the night sky and constellations. We simply don't have that anymore because of all the light pollution. And so when I came back home, one of the first things I did, when I got to, a follow-up, event, was talk about, "Oh, you see all of these lights, maybe, you might wanna consider some light shielding for your building," and then explaining why this process is important. And so, that was one of the key takeaways that I had from the trip, was just talking about how we need to do better with our light pollution and how we can preserve our dark sky. It's so easy.
Cat's experience is a great example of how the place based learning experience of one ACEP ambassador can go on to impact an entire community. However, her outreach began in Chile, nearly in real time. How? On social media as Kuiper Cat.
Course, because I'm chronically on my phone, is my camera out. And so it was easy for me to then make recordings of all of the things I was seeing and then recap that at the end of the day with a voiceover as a reminder to myself. And then also as just, taking audiences along the trip with me, which ended up working out really well. It turned out to be kind of a fun thing.
Sarah also documented her ACEP and Mission Patagonia experiences on social media. She found that her senses played a significant role while learning in Chile and educating others upon returning home.
Was given the heads up that this was going to happen, but I didn't understand it. Um, when I was warned that once you get home and you unzip your suitcase, you're going to smell that rainforest, that cool rainforest smell all over in your bag and your clothes. And when you're there, you're like, okay. But then I got home and yeah, I mean, I was like literally just like bathing myself in the clothes and just like, oh my God, it smell. How do I bottle this smell? And scent is such a powerful way to jar up memories, right? And I knew that it's going to go away because you're going to wash the clothes. And I was like, yeah, the smell of a cool rainforest is just like, I don't know. It's crisp and beautiful.
And while Sarah can't bring the bottled up rainforest smell to her outreach events, she can describe it as she just did to appeal to others' senses. Why? To convey the pristineness of the ecosystems and the importance of protecting them in other rainforests. Sarah explains how appealing to the senses as a hook prior to sharing valuable scientific information leaves a lasting effect on those she speaks with.
That's that opportunity to be like, well, like for like Mission Patagonia, hey, like this is one of the last few places that you can find Darwin frogs. And Darwin frogs are so freaking cool because the males eat the eggs and then gestate the eggs inside their like throat sac thing, and then they spit out babies. Yeah, but they're almost extinct because there's a fungus that's wiping these frogs out. But right, but if I started with the frog, you would be like, okay, I don't really care about frogs, right? But if you have these big dramatic places, you can start with that, and then you can like subsect and start breaking things down.
Seeing Darwin's frog is often the highlight among cohorts of the Mission Patagonia expedition. Anyone can read or hear about the unique behaviors and features of Darwin's frog. But seeing a quarter-sized frog camouflaging on the mossy rainforest floor is a whole nother ballgame. And while outreach professionals can't take everyone they encounter to Patagonia, they can deliver conservation information in a vivid way that helps people process it and retain it. Now, if you're thinking the ACEAP expedition is more suited to your goals, but you feel like you'd be missing out on learning about the flora and fauna of Chile, don't worry. ACEAP ambassadors spot wildlife during their expedition as well.
Surprisingly, um, my binoculars, as much as I wanted to bring like an actual visual telescope, I said, all right, I'll bring the binoculars and I think that'll be good enough. And it ended up working out pretty well because on the trip we ended up going to see the flamingos down in Chile and at the salt flats. And so we were using the binoculars to try to spy them from a distance, which was nice.
These expeditions not only introduce participants to new wildlife, but also to new colleagues. Each program accepts applications from around the world. Past participants have been nature photographers, teachers, science communicators, and environmental conservationists, among others. Alumni remain connected in various ways, even across cohorts, and reconnect at reunion events and professional conferences. Unsure if you're who the program is looking for? Sarah encourages anyone who has the interest and passion to apply.
Also, just something I would like to throw out for anyone listening, and maybe there's someone who has thought about applying to these programs and then said, "Oh, but I don't think I have enough experience, or I don't know if I could really do that, or something like that." Apply. Literally, the worst thing that can be said to you is no.
Participants for each program are selected based on a competitive application process. You can visit missionpatagonia.org to learn more about the Mission Patagonia program and astroambassadors.com for more information about ACEAP. From awe-inspiring nature to expert-led learning opportunities to lifelong connections, the ACEAP and Mission Patagonia programs provide participants once-in-a-lifetime experiences for immersive learning and educational outreach.
Any chance I get, I do bring it up, mostly because it was just such a cool experience, and I want people to apply to future programs that are open, especially for something like this, because I think if you're able to get down there, you have to experience this.
And with that, our bonus episode comes to an end. Thanks again to Kat and Sarah for sitting down with me to share their program experiences and knowledge. I highly recommend giving their full-length episode, Navigating Outreach in the Digital Age, a listen. And if you'd like to view Kat and Sarah's coverage of their expeditions on social media, you can find Kat at Kuiper Kat and Sarah at Space Case Sarah. Also, if you would like to be notified about new Beyond the Breakthrough episodes and bonus content, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen and leave us a review while you're there to let us know how you're enjoying the podcast. Also, you can follow AUI on Instagram at Discover AUI and Associated Universities Inc. on Facebook and LinkedIn to stay updated on all the latest breakthroughs at AUI. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you next time.